I'll just wait for the last one to get how to go invisible? How to go invisible, if at all possible.
You can't. You're not a Zeus.
Oh. Okay. Okay, then it's different from... Anyways.
Ah. I'll just give him a minute. Cool. Okay, I can preface this with this being a classic example of why it's so goddamn fucking important for you to show up before time and already the day before, and at least on the day make sure your mods are updated and everything's good to go, because right now we're running 15 minutes past when we should have started. So for the future, if you attend any other courses, please make sure you have your mods updated, if not the day before, then at least on the day, and be in the TeamSpeak channel 15 to 10 minutes before, see if you can connect to the server without issues. Rightio. Boom. We'll have to get started. Rightio. So, welcome to UOTC Familiarization course. I expect this lesson to take around 90 minutes. I might be powering through some of the things, speaking a bit fast, but if at any time you have any questions or you want me to slow down a bit, let me know and I'll do so. Cool. Now, the goals for this course is for you to know and understand the UO Code of Conduct, which will encompass the Charter and the SOPs. I want you to show you the basic functionalities of ACA 2 and also know some of the basic game keys. I want you to know and understand weapon safety, the chain of command. Also going to be learning about the fighting roles, some basic formations and the security arches of these formations, and also going to talk shortly about the order of march. We're also going to teach you how to be able to give a basic contact report and know and understand important behavior in a situation where your team takes a casualty. My name's JB, 24 years old. I've spent 3.5 years in the Danish Army, being a mechanized infantry section 2RC, and being an armored infantry section leader. I'm currently a CV-90 gunner, because my knees need rest. The course is going to be divided into a code of conduct part, ACA 2, CSE, combat space enhancement, the primary realism mod we use here, and fire team operations, and then CSE medical. We're going to cover some medical system. Familiarization's course is created to introduce you, as some of you I know are new, some of you I know have already played on the server, but it's made to introduce you to some basic functionalities so you can be more effective on the server and not be a hindrance to either yourself or the rest of your teams and players. This is at around 90 minutes. Cool. Let's just see here. We got the slides. Ba-dum! Your code of conduct. Upon registration to the forum, you should all have received, I think, 1 or 2 private messages containing links to SOPs and even the charter. If you have not read either of these, this can be, for example, the game server SOPs, it could be the TeamSpeak server SOPs, and so on and so forth, also the SOPs for mission making, and also for the training office. You can find all of these on the UO wiki, which is on the toolbar on the forums. Well, as you can see here, we have some basic values in the community: maturity, friendship, professionalism, respect, cooperation, teamwork, and courtesy. We all believe these are the fundamentals that allows us to achieve what we want to do here, and that is to play games a certain way. We are a tactical gaming community, if that has not dawned upon you. It says as beautifully up there, United has been established to serve as a community for fostering teamwork, simulation, and cooperation in gaming. Coolio. Go into a bit of server before that. Nope, that's good enough here. Quick, just to give you a small introduction here, if this is not already known to you. When you get on the server, we'd like you to, when the admins and GMs calls for mission selection, you want to make some valid suggestions and do not chat spam. This will be considered disruption, and also if you try to goad the server. So please do not do this. Just come with some valid suggestions. Right now, in-game chat has some few problems. This is something about them adding and removing some items when the gear script is made, so you might have to just make your suggestions in the actual TeamSpeak channel when you're using the chat there. Cool. Slotting, immediately take call slots that you feel capable of. What means by called is, for example, the CEO calls squad leaders for first and second squad. If you feel like you're a capable squad leader and you feel confident in that slot, you can go ahead and take that. Do not take any slots that have not been called. This is to keep some sort of organization. Also, so the CEO has a chance of actually organizing his unit the way he wants them to be. Should all know that by now, I think. Briefing, as it says here, limiting TeamSpeak chat to necessary minimum. This is to make sure that the leadership and also the person actually making this briefing has quiet and calm around him, so he can actually formulate your thoughts. He can, of course, also just give the floor to free so people can talk amongst each other and everything, but try to contain yourself and not make outbursts and loud noises and whatnot ever. Read mission notes around to you, listen to the entire briefing and upboard, and hold questions to the end. If you read the mission notes, many times people will answer questions that's already been provided to them by the mission notes made by the mission maker, so make sure you always read these. You'll contain a lot of valuable information about the mission you're about to do, the circumstances of it, and what you have available for you to achieve your objective. It will also contain mission notes, and this is a paragraph that will then have, for example, included what sort of medical system is in place and other practical, we could say, out of the scenario information that is useful to you. Listen to entire briefing and upboard. Upboard stands for Operations Order, and is the briefing given to you by the CEO. This is where he informs you of what the situation is, what your mission is, how you are going to do it, what means you have available to him, and then one of the most common things is the command and signals, which many then ask, what channel are we on so far, and who are we, and so on and so forth. Make sure you read all these things and pay attention to when you actually also slot in the slotting screen. That will give you a long way. All questions to the end. Usually by the end of each briefing, the CEO will give the floor to his leadership. For example, he can go and ask 1, do you have any questions? 2, do you have any questions? 3, 4, whatever call signs there are. If you have any questions during the briefing do you like to raise, a good idea would be to, for example, ask your team leader or your squad leader if could you take this up? Could you ask the CEO this and that? Maybe the squad leader, team leader can already now explain to you how this is, and you get the answer without having to go all the way to the top. So if you can solve the issue or the question on the lowest level possible, that's definitely preferable. Any questions on the server? Cool. Silence is consent. More on the server. During the mission, maintain an atmosphere of professionalism, follow the orders of your leaders and superiors. This goes without saying, if you go out of these two bounds here, we're of course going to end up with something not separating us from any of the other dummy and vanilla servers around. Ramboing, of course, is not allowed. Avoid negligent discharges. For the love of God. G key in Arma 3 is not gear, it is grenade key. The gear key by default is I for inventory. If you have not already rebound this key to something else, please do so. Perhaps even just make it into a double tap G to throw a grenade. That will get you a long way, because we have been very unfortunate with the amount of NDs and mission starts last couple of weeks. This can also result in a 24-hour ban for you. Perhaps more if it's not the first time you've done it. Cool. Just for some weapon safety With your remember, you could put your weapon on safe. I do not believe that is working right now in the CSE Combat Space Enhancement. Set the mod.
They'll put it in surely.
It's in there. The key bindings I've seen, but I don't know if it works right now.
No, it's disabled server side.
Yeah.
They'll put it back in.
Hopefully. Let's see. Do not appropriate any equipment or vehicles of the enemy. This is something many people fall for when they suddenly see an AK or sniper or fucking RPG or whatnot lying around, or enemy vehicles. Do not take them, do not use them. This is only if you've been allowed to by the highest leadership possible. For example, your platoon leader if you're in platoon mission. This is to avoid confusion and fratricide, i.e. friendly fire. Many times we've seen people only be having PID'd someone as enemy purely based on the weapon, for example on his bag as for example an RPG, then shot them, later found out it was actually friendly because he was donning either enemy equipment or actually also using enemy vehicles. I've personally killed people on the server because they were using enemy weapons, even though they were friendlies. Either as a pure reaction or because I wasn't able to further PID him. So please do not do this. This will also result in bans. Do not engage in any behavior, even only potentially endangering professional atmosphere on the server. This goes without saying. Don't do something that is going to take away from the gameplay experience you were trying to achieve. Joking with each other is absolutely allowed, even though I had fun removed from child because I'm that kind of guy. But do so within the confines of the gameplay that we want to achieve here. If you're sitting with your team in a fucking security direction, you bought the same place for 10 minutes, no one's going to berate you for pulling jokes on each other, having some fun. As long as you keep up the security and everything, that's fine and dandy. Rightio. Any questions to this slide? Slider,
What? Ha ha ha.
Yeah, big ha ha. Cool. Let's see here. I think we got it through the chain of command. Does anyone here not know what the chain of command is?
Feel free to speak up, guys. More you ask, the better.
How do you mean, just like from platoon leader to squad leader to fire teams?
Exactly. There's a, it says here, a chain goes through from the very bottom of a unit to the very top of who is in charge, and this of course is leadership. So as a fighting member, the chain of command from way down goes first foremost to your fighting leader, your squad leader, platoon leader, and then company commander. Of course, there are these interim positions in between, like for example the platoon sergeant, who is also going to hold sway over others. The chain of command is something that you should follow at all points if you're given orders from someone superior to you. Rightio? Or as in the Immortal War in one episode of Firefly, the chain of command is the chain I go and beat you with until you understand who's in command here. Which is a fantastic quote. Cool. Disobeying chain of command and everything can again result in fucking bans. So please, do not. Rightio. Now we're gonna go into IGA 2. IGA 2 stands for Advanced Combat Radio Environment. 2, of course, because this is Arma 3 and this is the second iteration of the mod. We also had the mod in Arma 2. It simulates the, so to speak, the radio environment of modern warfare and also Cold War and so on and so forth by introducing radios, but also direct speech as I'm using to you right now. Now, this also, besides just radios, is demonstrated by spacing. So for example, if I move further and further away from you while I keep on talking, you should hear my voice suddenly getting lower and lower. And as I get closer to you, it's suddenly gonna get louder and louder. It can however also be mended by holding down your spacebar and using the scroll wheel. When you hold down your spacebar, you should see a small bar appearing in the middle of your screen. It says whisper on the left and shout on the right. If you use your scroll wheel to scroll up and down, you're gonna hear your voice going up and down in that direction. This is useful, of course, when you get into actual contact, and when you're not using just the 343 all the time, you can actually...
I don't have that bar.
Do you all have it bound?
I believe that's bound. You have to go to your controls. Let me see.
It's unbound by
Talk on direct.
If you go on the multiplayer, talk on direct channel, you can set a key there.
Yes, there we were. Need to put that one in.
And I'm setting it to spacebar, yeah?
Yes.
Whatever, yeah.
Just like that,
Question.
under configure, controls, drop down menu, multiplayer, and then the button. Unbind every other push to talk, voice or net, global, side, command, group, vehicle, and then at the bottom, talk on direct channel, bound that to space, and then you can use the menu. The bar.
Yep, got it.
Right. Does anyone not have this? Sweet! Okay. Then we're going to have a quick look at some Acre keybinds before we get into the radios. These are by default set. You can change them by pressing escape, going into configure, and then you see controls, configure add-ons, and from the drop down list you can then choose Acre 2. From in there you can choose and rebind the keys as you see fit. Now I'm quickly going to go over them. By default, your radio push to talk is caps lock. This is the one, as you can hear, someone just did. If you push that button, people all of a sudden going to start speaking on the radio to you. In fact, let's choose the 343. I believe you all should be able to hear me now on the radio, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Yeah, got
Yes,
it.
we hear you.
Sweet. Cool. You can also, as you probably know by now, use a direct speak button, speech, which you bound in TeamSpeak, which again catches up on. This, I recommend to put this on the mouse button or perhaps the tilde key, depending on what your preferences are. I especially like having a mouse button, so I don't actually have to move a finger more than necessary. Cool. In order to open and close a radio, the default key binding is Alt Control Caps Lock. Should we open up a radio in front of you? Does everyone open up a radio? Silence is consent. Cool. If you have several radios, you can cycle between them by using the default key binding Alt Shift Caps Lock. Do not remember if you actually all have different or additional radios. Do not believe you have.
I have a long range.
We both have. We all have.
Could I
computers.
add at this point? You need to close your radio before you can switch it.
Yes. Radio. So everyone here has a 148.
Yeah.
Cool. Makes everything much easier. So you can see down there in the button, button right changes the channel. The radio, and you can also see what channel it is set to. Radio. Now, when for example right now have 2 different radios, it can be very, very nice in order to tell the difference between them, who is sending on who, and who am I actually receiving channel signals from. You can then set them to different ears. You can also set them to the center. Cool. The default key for setting to different ears is Control Shift, and then left arrow key for setting a radio to a left ear, and right arrow key to setting to right ear, and then up arrow key to set them to the center. Now, if you, for example, have your 343 chosen, you can press Control Shift left arrow key, and it's going to be set over there. Do that now. And then choose your 148 and set that to your right ear. So right now you should all be hearing me talking on your left ear, and now over on your right ear. Did anyone not have that? Cool. In order to reset the radios completely, you can just press Control Shift up arrow key, and it will center both radios again. You can still, of course, however, if you have, for example, 343 set to the left, 148 to the right, you can just select the 343 and also set that one to the right, so you receive both radios on the right ear. Cool.
But mind if I? So just a note, I noticed 2 guys here on the side. Those keys are also default bindings for your extra stances, such as this. Like that stuff. So just make sure you check the bindings so you're not flying around the place while you're changing your ear.
Yeah.
Radio.
It's a definite telltale when you're in a mission, seeing who has not rebound the keys. Alright. Now we're going to talk about the two radios you actually have. So, select your 343 and open it. Cool. So what you see right here in front of you is the ANPRC 343. It stands for Army, Navy, and then I believe it's Personal Radio Communication, and 343. This right here is the most basic radio or way of communication we have besides shouting to each other. It is usually found on the squad level, given to either all members of the squad or to the squad leader and the flight team leader, so they can communicate together effectively, even over distances, and sometimes when they not actually have line of sight on each other. It is very simply made. At the top in the middle, you see a dial with numbers on it. This, and also the text bar comes up there, it says change channel. If you left click on it, you're going to change it to different channels. You see the white dot in between denotes number 2. So all in all, we have 16 channels on here. On the knob to the left is where you see volume, where you set that. It even has a cool animation on top of it. That's new, nice. We can then turn it up and down. Now there are additional, besides the 16 channels available. Because if you go down to the right hand side of the 343 and where it says detach handle, try clicking on that and you're just going to go, wow. Because down at the bottom, at that blue dot where it says current channel block, you can again select these different channel blocks, and it will then change to a different frequency, as far as I can fucking remember. And then, for example, if I'm on channel block 1, and I am on channel 1, and Death Strike, for example, or Slide is on channel block 2, channel 1, we're still not going to be able to talk together because we are on different bands. Or different fucking, wavelengths, can't even remember it really. But, generally speaking, try not to fiddle with this. Mission makers will, most of the time, have this complete under control. Cool, so just click the handle again, and it's going to assemble itself. That is the 343. There is no power control. Exactly. Radio. So close down your 343, and now select your ANPRC 148. Cool. The 148 is probably the radio you're going to see the most when you start stepping into leadership positions. This is a radio that's used for inter-platoon communication. This means in between squads, between the squad leaders, platoon sergeant, the platoon leader. Fighting leaders may sometimes also be equipped with them, so that they can keep up their situation awareness and also be even more faster ready to replace the squad leader should he go down. Righto. At the top hand left corner, you can see the volume knob, very easy, as before. And at the center you have the channel. Change it again. Which I don't remember how many channels this one have. A lot.
16.
Same as. He's got blocks or groups.
Yeah. Just give me a second here. Just quickly need to dig something up. Forgot to include in the notes. Is Chris back in by any chance?
Yeah, he's there.
You were checking group functionality.
I was just quickly finding the way to set the power on the 148. I can't remember.
There is no power, I think.
The transmission power is done in the settings menu, which you don't need to access anymore, JB. It starts on full power.
What?
It starts on full power.
Cool, yeah. So no need to fiddle with that. Rightio, moving on. Let's see. Cool. That is the 148. Right. Any questions to Ager?
Hey, turn your thing back up to normal. Your shack tech acre volume.
What? Say that again.
Right.
Your shack tech acre volume.
JB,
Mhm.
I had a question. The when you go into the mode menu on the 148, are people familiar with those features yet, or are these things yet to be implemented?
They are working, and there is
Nah, it's
documentation.
still doing it in the middle of my screen and then going black and then coming back up as if I'm passing out over and over again.
You have an acre version mismatch. Who's got it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's. Yeah.
He's running a much
Stephen.
earlier version.
Yes, that's correct. He
Yeah.
joined in because for the sake of joining in.
Slider, that's right. Can you quickly just sort them out?
Here, come with me.
Question.
Yes.
So you're saying that
Is that coming
when you
from
set up your volume,
supposed to be like
is
coming
it a
from
shout,
a
or?
headset, not a speaker? So enemy won't hear
The
any
volume
radio
is
shout,
fine.
like,
It's
if
just
it's
in the middle of my
like
screen and up in the top
strange.
right hand side it says Acre plugin version, Adam version do not match, and it just my screen just keeps going black and then going full colour again.
Yeah. It
So, what,
your
your,
headset mode
hold on,
can enable
but your
stereo
thing where it says
audio
whisper
on
normal shout, is it on all the way up on
speaker
shout or
buffer
normal?
is if you go into the mode, it's
You know what I mean?
internal audio.
Yeah, it is now. It's still doing it though.
So I
Okay,
just
well, that
drop my radio
he's
here
doing
to
it because you don't have the right version because you haven't updated.
and JB also
But I
went to
can't really do anything about it at this point. You would have to
Yalla?
disconnect and
you now have a speaker.
update it and
It's
reconnect.
it's just because I literally updated it just before I came into the thing and everything got greenlit on. Is it update with 6?
That's
Like
weird.
everything said it was the right version and everything.
It's because
Okay,
they
well,
don't
sorry out you
use,
later then.
the,
Just
the
listen in.
Yeah, I'll do. I'll just try re-update it after we've done this familiarization
Yep.
course.
Yeah, I'll stay and see. Okay, I'll help you.
Strike, which option was that in mode? I've only got 4 to choose
Internal
from.
audio. The only two modes that work at the moment are top audio, headset, internal audio, speaker. Anyway, I believe JB wishes to move on.
Sorry, just one more question. What did you say play with 6 wasn't getting right? With Acre? I was getting a weird...
I'll cover acre issues afterwards to help people with tech. Needs a bit more explaining, unfortunately.
Okay, so Steven, you're said you're not blacking out anymore. You don't have the mismatch yet.
I do, but I'll deal with it and update after.
I'll
He should
deal
still
with him
get
after.
errors, and it may eventually stop.
Cool. Any further questions, Blake? Radio. Right. Let's see here. Yeah, some of them. We have additional radios. ANC, ANPRC 117 Foxtrot, and the
We don't have the
UC
119.
77. Not 119 yet, no.
We have the 77 instead.
Yep. These are much more powerful radios, longer reach, usually used on higher levels, for example, for RTOs, radio telephone operators, the ones going contact between platoon and company and upwards. Rightio. Going into combat space enhancement. First off, we need to make sure that you have bound the proper keys, which is going to be an action menu key and a combat medical system menu key. So, press escape. Upper left hand corner you can see configure CSE going under there, and you're immediately going to see 2 key binding options. It says open action menu and open combat medical system menu. You need to have these 2 bound. Do so now.
Even I didn't have those bound.
Coolio. I take everyone is that done right now. Right. As says up here, if enable incision, which it will be now, we've just gotten a server side or forced setting server side for CSE. So here enhances the combat enhances the combat environment by introducing more realistic medical system and interaction functionalities. This also includes modules, for example, as ballistics and other things like that. Major parts, of course, the medical system. Rightio. So, if you open up, press the key for your action menu, you should see a small dial appearing in front of you. You have here a number of options. You have, for example, group, where you can use gestures, for example, cover. You see me waving there. Honestly, incredibly fucking impractical right now. I don't know right now if these can be bound to anything else.
Nope.
No. But given how far you have to fucking dig in to get these gestures, they're pretty much useless at this point. But nevertheless, they're there, and they can be used if you have the time to go through these small menus. Rightio. If you're going under equipment, you're going to have the possibility to attach, for example, chem lights and iron straps to yourself, and also repackage your ammunition. So, for example, if you spend 2 halves of two 30-round Stanax for your M4, you can then, when the time permits and the situation allows it, you can repackage them so you have 1 full magazine. This is very useful. Rightio. And you have interact at the top, so you can interact with other persons and objects around you. For example, I can tap the shoulder of Deathstrike here if you look to each other and use that. This also allows you to, of course, as just mentioned, interact with all things in the world, such as, for example, vehicles, and so on and so forth. Then you have medical self, and medical self, of course, as implies, is for your own treatment, and medical is for treatment of others. This, however, is also accessed by the other key we also bound. So Valve and custom are not applicable right now. Rightio. Interaction, for example, can be also changing barrels on ARs, MGs, machine guns. Right. Press the other key that told you to bound your combat medical system menu, and you're going to see a triage card appear in front of you. We're going to go talk about these a bit later, but this is basically the triage card, which allows you to see, view, evaluate, and treat injuries on yourself or other persons. We're going to go in depth with this, but now we know where it is. Cool. Let's see, there should be something more here.
I mentioned before that the medical system it's quite buried in that Comoros menu. You can bind it to a specific key. I just did it through the escape configure CSI.
That's
He did it.
And
what everyone was told to do.
Rightio. Other things of CSE, for example, weapon resting, so on and so forth, but I believe weapon resting right now doesn't work for some
It's disabled. It's going to be changed.
Disabled because YOLO. Rightio. Any questions for CSE and the basic functionalities of it? Sweet. Moving on. Now we're going into fire team operation, the part of the course. Rightio. As you see behind me, we have a fire team. The fire team is the basic unit that is able to engage enemies by themselves. What did not do? Yeah, no. Weirdly set up, but fuck it. Slider is writing the thing in group chat. You can't see it, so don't worry. I'm not just talking to myself.
No, he's talking to himself.
It's a basic formation that can operate by itself. It's always employed within the squad level, which means that it's usually going to be at least 2 fire teams together to form a squad with then 1 squad leader. As you see up here, we also have a further small divide in the fire team, which is the body team. You see here we have the team leader and your main rifleman together, and Grenier and the rifleman together. This is so we can quickly organize the team, and also ties into some responsibilities in case of casualties, and also movement such as bounding, peeling, and whatnot. We're going to get into these later, but always remember, at some point you're going to have a body, and you're going to take care of each other. Rightio. We're going to get into, let's see, squad. Nice. taking one back. I'll tell you about the roles of the fire team. The first one, and the most senior in the fire team, is the fire team leader. He is the lowest level of leadership that you're going to encounter in UO, and he is personally responsible for the performance of his fire team throughout the fight. His role is primarily to supervise the individuals of his team and to ensure the proper deployment of his weapons, his heavy weapons. The heavy weapons in the fire team, as scheduled up here, is the automatic rifleman and the grenadier. Grenadier you can always consider as the team's own mini mortar. Cool. He also thinks ahead and makes suggestions to his squad leader on how to best employ himself or how to best employ his squad as an entirety. He is expected to communicate and coordinate with his squad leader and also his fire team leader colleague of the other team. Then we have the automatic rifleman. The automatic rifleman usually carries a bell-fed machine gun, in this case the M249 SAW, that is capable of high rates of fire, usually equipped with a bipod, and also many times optics that allows it to reach out to a longer range than your standard 5.56 rifle. Because of this high rate of fire, plentiful ammunition, accuracy, and optics, he composes approximately around 40 to 60% of the team's total firepower. So he is an absolutely crucial and important role. If anything, he is the heavy weapon of the team. After him, we have the grenadier. As I said before, he's equipped with an underslung grenade launcher that can engage targets effectively up to around 300 meters, perhaps a bit plus. He's capable of hitting targets that are in cover of direct fire weapons, and when I say direct fire weapons, I mean flat trajectory weapons such as projectiles. The grenade launchers are curved indirect weapons with a curved trajectory. So he can hit targets that are in cover, since he can fire over these things and hit enemies behind them that are suppressed. As I said before, in the team's mini mortar. Besides explosive rounds, you have, for example, high explosive. You can also have high explosive dual purpose, which can be used to penetrate very, very lightly skinned vehicles, such as, for example, a BRDM-2 or other trucks, jeeps, whatnot. He can also fire smoke grenades with it, so you can actually put out a smoke screen at a further distance than you can just throw your ordinary hand smoke. And he can also illuminate the battlefield using illumination rounds, either in color or, for example, in infrared, so the enemy, if they do not have night vision equipment, are not able to see the illuminated battlefield, but you, with your NVGs and whatnot, are, which is basically just a military hack. It's fun as fuck. The rifleman, he is the jack of all trades, master of none. Some call him the fire team's bitch, because on normal circumstances, he carries a rifle and uses this to help suppress enemy targets along with the rest of the fire team. Or, he can, for example, be told by the team leader to engage some specific point targets. Many times, however, he's also getting the extra assignments, such as being more ammunition for the AR or the grenadier, or other platoon weapons, and he might even be tasked with carrying and using anti-tank weapons, such as, for example, an AT-4. Still, a crucial role. Rightio. Any questions to the roles of the fire team?
Question.
Boom.
If the team leader and AR are buddy teams, would that require the team leader to carry the extra ammo? Or
No.
if the rifleman is already carrying ammo, they are buddy teamed?
No, it would not require him to carry extra ammo. You could, well, you could distribute the ammo on the rest of the team, across the team, so everyone can give it to him, or you can simply just have the guy who's from the get-go probably the most lightest, i.e. the rifleman, haul that ammunition. Just because the rifleman is carrying, most likely be carrying most of the spare ammunition for the automatic rifleman, does not mean that they should be bodies. If they were bodies, and this is a thing many people think, if they were bodies, well, then he didn't have to move so far. No, but he still have to move in order to give him all this ammo. So whether he's with the team leader or the AR, sorry, if the AR is with the team leader or the rifleman, doesn't really fucking matter in that sense.
It's flexible, depends on the situation.
Yes, exactly. Crossload, yeah, no problem. Have it on the rifleman, no problem at all, really. Radio, cool. I see nodding, that's content. Other questions?
Who takes over when the team leader dies?
Right now, it will be the AR. Simply because he apparently is the most smartest guy in the team because he had the biggest and baddest weapon. However, in reality, of course, it's the most competent person taking over. So, if, for example, let's say I'm fucking AR in a team with completely new people, and I'm rifleman in the team with completely new people. The completely new automatic rifleman take over if you haven't attended a single course, probably not the best idea. So of course it's the most able person for the job that should take over. Right? That's also part of chain of command in the team. Make sense? Yeah?
Yep.
Cool, yeah? But if everyone is on a completely equal level, automatic rifleman has it. Other questions? Sweet. Moving on. Now we're going to get into formations. Radio. Just before we start off here, the formation we're going to show you over there, where you see these boxes standing up behind you to your 8 o'clock. We're just going to differentiate between something. There are squad formations, and then there's the team formation. I can explain that in depth as we come there. For example, I can just explain now. You see here, if you look at squad line, which says this. What we actually have here is a squad line, fire team wedges, and that's the way it's commanded or ordered to be. So what he gives first is how he wants the squad leader. He gives first how do I want the teams placed in relation to each other, and then what formation do I want the fire teams to be in. So squad line, I want both fire teams up beside each other. Wedges, I want them in wedges. Cool. So it's just a thing to differentiate between. Right here. I'm just going to check my slide to make sure. Yeah, nothing there. Right. We're going to go over here. Student activation. Check. Cool.
Is this supposed to be black?
No, if you come closer, it's going to load for you.
There we go. You gotta get real close. You can back up once it's loaded.
Cool. So, the first formation here we have is the fire team echelon. The echelon also exists on squad level, in 2 levels, and hell, you can even go further up with the echelon. As you see here, we have 2 variations. We have on the right side an echelon right, and on the left side an echelon left. Now, as you see here, the soldiers in front of you, make sure you can see in the wall, so you might have to step to the side of the sign. This is the way they're lined up. The movement direction is the way the blue arrow is pointing. Now, the pros of the echelon is good firepower to the sides, and also if you get this correctly and not just squeeze them in between each other so it's more of a fire, but have them fan out a bit more, you can also get some pretty decent firepower to the front, and it's a fairly fast-paced formation. The cons, however, is weak firepower to the rear, and depending on how you squeeze it, you can also have weak firepower to the front. You would usually use the echelon when you're conducting a flank march to a known or suspected enemy presence. I.e., for example, if as in this team here, if they're in an echelon right, that will mean that the enemy is either on the right or most likely to be on the right, i.e. the most dangerous direction. So that's why they're moving in this formation here, because they still need to travel on they still need to travel the way they're going in order to either bypass the enemy or for some outflank them. But by adopting this formation here, they're also able to quickly turn to the right should they have the contact there and engage them. So, as I said, usually used when you're conducting a flank march or moving on the sides of an enemy. Right, variations left and right. Right, and as we have here, team leader, front, left, automatic rifleman, front, grenadier, front, and then we have rifleman at the end, front, right, and rear. That's the security directions for them. Right. Questions for the echelon? Next formation over. this is the line. The pros of the line is excellent firepower to the front. This is basically the formation where you can allow the most amount of firepower with the least amount of risk of fratricide to happen. This is your standard combat formation, i.e. when you're actually in contact. You form this formation to face the enemy, and you have pretty much all your firepower free. The cons of it, it's hard to control and maintain when you're walking, even running, formation-wise. It has weak firepower to the sides and the rear. This is used when you're either expecting contact front, or the contact has already begun. Rightio. Automatic rifleman, front, left, team leader, front, grenadier, front, rear, rifleman, front, right. Rightio. Questions to the line? Sweet. Next formation. Bear in mind, this picture here has not been corrected, because as you see right now, we actually have the body teams divided, as we have the team leader on the right, and then the automatic rifleman on the left. AR and grenadier should shift positions in this picture here. And that is because the staggered column, quick go through again. Pros, good firepower to all sides. You have 2 men facing front, 2 men facing sides, and you can also have 2 men quickly swivel to the rear and engage there. So it's pretty good. Firepower wise, it's a pretty good 360 coverage you have there. Another pro of it is also that you're able to watch over the head and up over the heads, up over the heads of the body team on the opposing side. And this leads into the use of this formation. It is usually used when moving on roads or inside built-up areas, because once we get into towns, the battlefield changes to a 3D environment, i.e. for example balconies above, where you're walking on either side of the road. The guys who are on the left side of the road cannot watch onto the balconies that are directly above, so the guys who are on the right will have to cross security in order to watch, so they're not getting any grenades dropped onto their fucking heads or anything. Yeah, makes sense? Cool. Now the reason why I quickly mentioned this with body teams is that we do not want the body teams divided on either side of the road, because in reality a road is a student activation. Come on, someone guess? Is something dangerous? It's bad.
Danger zone?
Danger zone. It's a fire corridor. Some you might hear that mentioned some point as a linear danger. Best example is long road, machine gun at the end of it. If he has the range, he can quickly lock down this entire corridor, i.e. it's a fire corridor. So we don't want the body teams divided on either side of this corridor should they get into contact. Just quite simply to keep the body teams together. We always want to try and achieve that. Right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
If there's a machine gun lying in the middle of the fucking road down by the end of it firing alongside the road, you're not cut off from your body. Yes. Sweet. Next formation. Sapphire. Sometime you're absolutely going to hear this called a column. And while the column and the file are geometrically the same formation, it's 2 different things on the 2 different levels. It is always going to be a file on the fire team level, and when you get up to squad level, it's going to be a column. So for example, if I were the squad leader, I could say a squad column, fire team files, then we will all be in a straight line down, right? See here, pros and cons of it is easy to control, fast pace. Actually, it's probably the easiest fucking information to control for a fire team leader. It has excellent firepower to the sides, because you're quickly able to turn to your side if you should get a contact there, and then you will automatically be on what sort of formation?
The line.
The line. Fantastic. It, however, does also have, as mentioned, weak firepower, or as I'm going to mention, sorry, weak firepower to the front, only by 1 guy, weak firepower to the rear, by only having 1 guy there. Usage. You should use this formation when contact is either unlikely or you're moving through channelizing terrain, i.e. Something where you simply cannot go up on a larger and wider formation. Right here. questions. Alright. Fighting leader front, AR right, Grenadier left, Rifleman right and rear. When you're walking on formations like this, for example file or column, it always goes front man front, then second man right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, all the way down until you reach the last guy, who then has a side direction and then rear. Right? Questions to the file? Well, you can file it on the forums. Hail. Right. Next formation. So many puns. Good. This here is the wedge, and just as the echelon, it has two different variations of it. It has a heavy left and a heavy right. Take a wild guess on which one is which on this board here. Now, the way we differentiate between a heavy left and heavy right is simply by which side do we have the most men to. And this is again, you're gonna see or hear some people arguing that, well, heavy right or heavy determines which side the AI is on and everything. Yes, we could do that, and we've done that before, but then we're going to end up fucking splitting up the body teams again, because then we would, for example, have the Grenadier furthest down. If you look on the heavy left wedge, where we have the Rifleman in the rear, the way it was run beforehand was that you would have the Grenadier down, AR over where the Grenadier is, and then you have the Rifleman on the right side of the team leader, so you effectively split up the Rifleman and the Grenadier of their body teams, so they'll be on different sides of formation, and not together always, as it should be. So this is basically just a much simpler, and we also keep the principle of keeping the body team together. And then, usually, or some people say then, well, depending on, you can either have heavy, it's because you have the AR on this side, or it's because you have the Rifleman on this side. This is just the way we run it now. So if some people argue about whether, you just turn them towards us and the wiki where you can find the formations. Right? Cool. Just want to completely nail that one down. Pros of the wedge is it has good firepower to all sides, perhaps not much to rear, but it's still quickly achievable. It's easy to control, and you can very, very easily transition into a line if you were to get contact front, left, side, left, right, and to the rear. It is perhaps the best overall formation that we have, and you can see it used a lot on the server. You will use this when you are uncertain of the most dangerous direction or in what or where the enemy is. So it's a good compromise between all sorts of formations. Rightio. And as we have here, Automatic Rifleman from the left, he has front, left, have team leader front, Grenadier front and Rifleman right and rear. Rightio. Questions to the wedge? Sweet. Right, I'm gonna give you a 3-minute bio break, so go take a piss, get something to drink, and we'll be back in 3 minutes, yeah? Off.
This bush right here is right in the way of friggin' sign. That bush.
Yeah, punch it, punch it.
It's not working. Oh well. Yeah, again, because Arma 3, you know, I saw a guy get shot, and he went all ragdoll and knocked a tree over.
What the f?
Yeah, that was
Only
last
an
night.
Arma.
Yep.
Were you the one who like flew from the rubber boat that mission, or were you witnessed that?
What did
Some guy was like on the rubber boat, and when you tried to eject, he like flew like a rocket, like 20
No.
feet up the air.
Was that mission?
Yeah, skull mission.
Yeah, I saw that. He reckons he made it to 20 meters in the air before he hit the ground.
Steven is out miking.
Steven.
Yeah,
He's
button
AFK
is stuck.
too.
Yeah, it's okay.
So would you mind lowering that weapon?
It didn't get over.
Can he hear us?
I'm here.
Oh
Alright.
god, oh god, oh god.
Yeah, JB, I don't know if you mentioned about lowering the weapons and the practice about that.
No. Should have.
Okay. Just whenever it seems appropriate.
Well, some people take it seriously before eventually we get around to it. Oh, yeah, word to the wise. If you ever see someone sort of, I don't know, crouch, pretend this is a wall, crouch with his gun, oh, I have to load it before I can raise it. Crouch with his gun like this, please don't run in front of them. Run behind them where the gun's not pointing. We had a few incidents yesterday during a defense mission where people were almost getting shot by running in front of other people's gun because they didn't realize that person had their weapon raised for a very good reason.
May I add that you should also let them know if you're going to cross their front if you can't go behind them.
Yes.
You know, just generally make the person aware of your presence, or you know, even shouting crossing has its merits.
Question about, actually it's more technical about Acre.
Hmm.
Are still object reflect voices or something, I don't know. Like, it will make a difference if you're talking in a room or out in the open.
Yes,
mean?
voice occlusion for buildings is modelled at the moment.
What about if I turn around to hear me quieter or something? Is that
Not at the moment, that's not.
No, okay.
There is a drop off, but it's not as noticeable. Jay wants to mess with that some more, because apparently it also has something to do with the building occlusion.
Okay.
Cool. Wisdom going to test who's back or not by running down to the huge board again. And we'll eventually see who's back.
We got our 2 FKs.
Yeah.
Is my patch clear? I don't know.
Yeah, it's clear.
I've been missing all the past 2 days. Resolution, composition, everything.
It
I've
looks
set-
actually good. It looks good. It's
I
just very
forgot-
small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the uniform. He's stealing the body. He might rape him.
No, he's just going to go sacrifice it to Impulse. Don't worry about it.
To the gods.
If we feed Impulse, he will be happy.
You won't fuck the server?
We have to sacrifice at least 2 virgins every day. Thankfully, this being UO, there's an endless supply of virgins.
Go!
Come on. That's 2 guys up there.
Don't.
Exism and Toshisk is still AFK. Oh, one's alive.
They're both up.
Quick pop quiz.
They're there.
Some things are covered. See who's awake.
Yeah, do it.
They're here.
Oh, see?
Or are they back yet? Oh no, they're back.
There they are. Yep.
Ah, they ruined it.
Quick thing I forgot to quickly go over is the Order of March, which is abbreviated OOM. You're probably gonna see that marked sometime on the map. The Order of March is, of course, as it implies, an order in which we move or position in a given formation. For example, the formation you've seen here before, the fire example, is one way to have an Order of March, and it's the standard. During your missions on the primary, you might experience a fighting leader or squad leader changing an order of march based on personal preference. I, for example, also have a personal preference of how I want the team's order of march to be. So it's very important you keep note of this, and also make sure you keep the order of march. For example, if you are on a, let's see here, slider Enix left right, come in with me, form a file. Left right for Enix behind me, slider to the rear. Enix behind me.
Oh, there you are.
So right now, for example, we have an order march in my file. Now, if, for example, I want to go onto a line, I could then say line left. We will move up in a line. Line left. Yeah.
There we go.
There's something
Left,
going on.
NX.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Cool.
NX. Get your shit together. Come on.
No, slide. For fuck's sake, you're ruining this for me, guys. Hi, you stay there. NX on the far right, and we still keep the same order of march, but we adapted another formation. See? Easy. Rightio, back. Cool, yo, everyone's back. Are there any questions on anything we've covered so far that suddenly popped up in your head? Silence is consent. Cool. What we're going to talk about now is quickly actions on contact, and we're going to get into the contact reports at the same time. Let's see up here, action on contact, on enemy sighting, engage immediate threats, communicate the known or suspected enemy positions. Now, let's say we're walking down some sort of fucking forest. All of a sudden, we get shot at. What we want to do here is to first, one, fall down into the security direction that you have, and then seek the closest cover to you. Immediately suppress confirmed or suspected enemy locations. If you see the enemy, then you give them a contact report. We will cover that in a short while. And end state is the team forming a line facing the enemy contact, and you will then hold and be ready to receive further orders. This for example be orders to assault or disengage using bounding maneuvers, which will be covered in a fireteam operations course. Cool, so I'll reiterate, say again, actions on contact, you'll be engaged, fall down to security direction, seek closest cover, immediately suppress the confirmed or suspected enemy location, give contact report if you see them, form a line facing the enemy, be ready for further orders. Radio. As you see here, a bit pointless. Also a bit for the fighting meters. Radio. This quickly also ties into a very, very, very important principle we have, which is echoing orders. It is a small thing, so to speak, but it is so absolutely crucial. Now, echoing orders is a fundamental buildstone for an effective fire team and even an effective SWAT, effective any fucking unit. You must repeat the orders, the reports, and commands given to you either by your leaders or echoed to you by others. If you're not doing this, it's going to result in confusion, slow and wrongful execution of drills and maneuvers, and many times, as seen on the server, it's going to result in fireteam members either being left behind or completely unattended in the case where they have been wounded. So every order, report, or information that is given to you by others or you yourself obtain, echo it to the others. Literally repeat it so everyone gets it. That's also something you're going to hear as called passing it up and down the line, so to speak. This is crucial. Rightio. Moving on to the contact report, you can see a small example of it down there. Let's see if it's not on the X now. We need to edit these slides again. Cool. So, the contact report. The contact report is used to point out enemies in the terrain. And for this we use a format which we call the 3Ds, or 3D. These stand for direction, distance, and description. When you're about to give a contact report, you always preface it with the word contact. You do this to gain the attention of your team and everyone around you so they know you're about to pass on some information. What were the 3Ds?
Direction, distance, to description.
Yes, it's on the fucking board. Everyone should just be falling over your toes telling me it. Cool. So, the first one, direction. Direction you can use, for example, front, left, right, or rear, if that is where the contact is. And this is usually used when the contact is close. Close means under 50 meters. When they're so close you don't really have time to figure out what fucking cardinal direction. Are they north or northeast, or are they actually east? It's just fucking front, left, right, rear. And it's so close that it should be evidently obvious where the enemy is. Cool. Then you can use cardinal directions such as north, east, south, west, and then subdivide further into north, east, south, west, and so on and so forth. When the contact is above close. So above close is above how many meters?
50.
50. Boom. Have a piece of candy. Right. So that's direction. Many times, sometimes on server, you're going to hear people calling out using the compass to gain bearings and so on and so forth. Bit too tedious, and if you just keep a general idea of where north is, you can much more quickly acquire the enemy or give the direction. Cool. So, direction. Moving on to distance. We have 4 agreed upon ranges, types of distance that we use. We have close, which is under 50. We have near, which is between 50 to 200 meters. Mid, which is 200 to 600 meters. And far, which is 600 meters plus. I'll say again. Close, under 50 meters. Near, 50 to 200. Mid, 200 to 600 meters. And far, 600 meters plus. Keep these in mind. At close, all the team's weapons are going to be effective. Near, all the team's weapons are going to be effective. When we reach mid is when rifles start to become less effective. Grenadiers with their M23 becomes less effective. Because what were the effective range of the M203 40mm grenade launcher?
300.
Boom, 300. Have another piece of candy. And once we get out too far, it's usually only the machine gunner or the automatic rifleman that's going to be affected out there, because they have what, for example, on their weapon?
A scope.
Scope.
And a bipod.
Bipod. Boom. There you go. Rightio. So, that was the distance. Then we move on to the final D, which is description. During this, you call the enemy's size and type. This is meant by, for example, it's good to know whether or not it's just one infantryman you're seeing. It might be an enemy fire team, or holy shit, there's a goddamn armored panzer division coming our way. That sort of information is very, very relevant, knowing the size of the enemy that you have spotted. Then we also need to know the type of enemy. Is it infantry? Is it an APC? An infantry fighting vehicle? APC, for example, could be a BTR, 60, 70, 80. An RFV could be a BMP, a Bradley. Stands for infantry fighting vehicle, if you're not aware. Or we're getting into tanks, such as M1 Abrams, T-80s, T-72s, whatnot. These are very important, so we know what sort, how large is the threat we are facing, what sort is it, and how can we actually counteract it. The other part of description is you can specify the enemy location by using terrain features to, so to speak, walk your team onto the enemy target. So, call the enemy's size and type, walk your team onto the enemy location by further describing the terrain which they are. So, for example, let's see, a contact report I could give, for example, be contact southeast, mid, top of the hill, lighthouse, 1 times enemy infantry. Alright. I could further walk onto it and say, for example, contact southeast, mid, enemy fire team, left of the lighthouse, on the ridge, by 3 bushes. Even further walked onto it. It could be, let's look here, it could be, for example, contact northwest, far, enemy infantry section, 1 BMP, position in 2-story house, no roof on top. I'm sure all have that. Is anyone in doubt of where that enemy section of BMP are? So I'm saying enemy infantry section inside house, BMP right side of house. Right? If then, for example, we're talking contacts close, it could be contact front close fire team. Short to the point, we know what we're dealing with, where they are, and how far they are away. Because when we're inside that sort of distance, we need to make this quick. Right? So it's absolutely crucial and important you remember to echo these things, these informations and these reports. This allows you to much more quickly react to them, more effectively react to them, and to actually avoid all sort of confusion and arrive at the end state, which was, what's the end state for us taking action on contact for the team? It is to
Win the fight. Superior power.
Form a line.
Boom! Another piece of candy. Damn it. I want the candy. Radio. Are there any questions for the contact report 3D? UOTC diabetes course, yes. Cool. Then we're going to move on to. We're going to move past that. Move on to the final part of the course, which is the Combat Space Medical System. Now, it wouldn't really be a military simulator or a tactical game community if there's not one way to properly simulate and, when you say, introduce the aspect of what sucks the absolute most in combat, and that is to get fucking hit. Therefore, we have the Combat Space Medical System, which is a part of the Combat Space Enhancement mod. This simulates being wounded in combat by either being hit by shots, fragmentation, explosives, pressure, whatever. So what we're quickly going to do here is we're going to go over some of the basic items that you need in order to treat yourself. We're going to tell you how you can do it, the way you operate the menus, and we're also going to cover actions on casualty. What do you actually do when you're in the mission and also you either self or your body gets hit? Cool. So, first off, we're going to go over the basic items, which we have. Let's see if it's great over here. Come with me, ducklings. I want you to go into this crate. I want you to grab 1 tourniquet, 1 quick clot, 1 elastic bandages, basic bandage, packing bandage, morphine, epinephrine, and a first aid kit. You should be able to fit it all into you. I've probably made the meanest coffee I've done in a long time. This is really getting my legs jumpy. Not a good thing to do.
Did you put sugar in it?
I have already done that once.
Who was a chef in the community? Who was a
The chef.
was chef in the community?
Don't know.
Forgot the name. God damn it.
Right, when you've all had... okay.
Seems like he tripped off. Be careful, bro.
Fucking Wade going on vacation, like fuck this shit. Gonna tan. Tanning time. Once you've all got that kit, as I said, one tourniquet, a quick cloth, elastic bandage, basic bandage, packing bandage, morphine, epinephrine, first aid kit. Let's go over to the desk again. Dip, dip, dip. X isn't being tactical as fuck. Crabs all the way over. Maybe those students won't notice him. Cool. So, we're going to go over the items that you have in your inventory right now. First off, the tourniquet. Now, the tourniquet can only be applied to your arms and your legs if you were to get wounded in them. You can quickly open up your the triage card, your combat medical system menu, as we see before. Just so we have something to look at in the meantime. Or, actually, your inventory list, if you want to. The tourniquet is an item we use to stop bleedings from intensifying, which means that it does not stop a bleeding or slow it, or slow an already open wound, but it prevents it from further escalating. This is a quick use item. Let's see, I think I actually have it under here somewhere. Basically, this is I don't have the time to properly treat myself or anything, but I still do not want to fucking bleed to death. Slap on a tourniquet, continue the fight, or move to another place where you can actually treat yourself properly. Alright? So it's sort of a stopgap measure. Easy to apply, prevents your wounds from escalating. Okay? In real life, they hurt as a motherfucker to be put on, because they literally cut off the blood flow to your entire limb of where it's placed. And no, you cannot apply it to the necks of people you do not like. Leave me untried. Then, we have the quick cloth and the elastic bandages. These can close smaller wounds in one application. In order to close larger wounds, you will need to apply several of them. And just to quickly specify this, there's three different types of wounds in CSM. Combat Space Medical. There's a small, medium, and large wound. Of course, goes without saying that the larger the wound is, the more fucked you are because you bleed much more. And it's also going to require different, larger bandages in order to properly stop from bleeding, or many of the smaller. So, as I said, quick cloth or elastic bandages can close smaller wounds in one application. Larger wounds, medium and large wounds, will require several items of it. Then we have the basic bandage. Basic bandage can close a medium and small wound in one application. A large wound will require several of basic bandages. Packing bandage can close all wounds in one application. So this packing bandage will close a large wound first time. You then have morphine. Morphine lowers your heart rate and treats the pain you feel after being hit. Pain is seen as a white flashing from the outside or from the edges of your screen, flashing inwards. That's how you know you're in pain, and your character will probably also be groaning. Cool. Epinephrine increases the heart rate, and this helps to resuscitate unconscious players. Unconsciousness will either occur if you're experiencing way too much pain, or you're simply taking one big fucking hit. Rightio. The first aid kit is when a casualty have all wounds bandages, it has a stable heart rate, and you can use this kit to restore the hit points or health points and ensure that the wounds won't reopen. Because in CSM, Combat Space Medical, if you, for example, just bandage your wounds and that, and then you suddenly start doing a fucking 200-meter sprint, well, funny enough, your wound's gonna reopen again. So, once you've been hit, just because you've bandaged your wounds, does not mean they cannot spring up again. There are, for example, as mentioned here, the first aid kit that can treat this, so it won't reopen again. There's also a sewing kit, but that's not really important right now. Cool. So, if you open up the medical menu, do that. I'm quickly going to go through it. You have on the left hand side, you have the examine and treatment, where you have a few options below. For example, you have one that says view triage card. This is if you come to a person who's been wounded and already treated, you're going to see a small overview of what this person has been treated, how he has been treated, what bandages has been applied, and so on and so forth. You can examine a patient, where you can see you have check pulse. You'll do that, and at the bottom of the screen, you're going to have a small progress bar. And it's going to, over the right hand side, which says quick view, check heart rate. Right now I have a heart rate of 80. If this is real life, or someone actually took my heart rate right now, it probably wouldn't be true. Probably higher than that. Too much coffee. Check the blood pressure, 20 over 80, so that's good. Check response. This is basically my conscious state. Am I alert, verbal, or indirect to pain? Luckily, I am completely responsive. Shibi. Right next to that, you have the bandage and fractures. This is where you can apply the different bandages which you have in your inventory. Next to that, medication, which is the drugs. Airway management is not applicable right now in UO. Advanced treatments is also not something we're going to come into now. Drag and carry allows you to, as it says, either drag or carry the person who is wounded, if for example he himself has been incapacitated or is unconscious. Then you also have the options of toggling yourself, or if you're going to be treating someone else. This is literally if you're standing in front of someone else treating them, but you might also have to treat yourself, so on and so forth. Cool. In the middle, you're going to see a small, well, so to speak, mannequin. If you are wounded, it's going to show on the body part of this figure. And the severity is given by nuance, from light pink to heavy red. The darker the nuance, the heavier you are hurt or wounded on that specific limb. So, for example, if you're hit in your right arm, you will click on the right arm. See over in the overview on the right, where it's also going to say what sort of wounds you have. And then you can go under bandage and fractures and then start treating the wounds that you have there. Alrighty. And then in the end, administer drugs. So, by what I've told you here now, you should now know how to and in what order to treat yourself. Of course, largest wounds first, and then work your way down to the smallest wounds. There's no point in spending your supply of medical items on spending up the small wounds when you then suddenly get up to the sucking chest wound you have in the middle of your fucking torso, and you're completely out of, for example, the packing bandage, which will close what wounds?
Medium to large.
All wounds in one go. If you spend that on, for example, a medium or a small wound. So, largest wound first. Radio. If there are any questions now to the items you need in order to be able to treat yourself and your body, and how you do it. Cool. Hang on. You did?
Yep.
Wait.
There's a handy
Right.
command.
If you come over here and look at Death Strike and then press your medical key on him, you're going to see he's going to light up, and you can see how his torso, or sorry, his figure has changed. And you would actually be able to treat him right now. But we're not going to do that right now. We're going to save that for the end. Everyone see that?
So who changed him to minor?
I did.
That's not nice.
Yeah, he's dead now.
He can take it like a man.
Cool. Alright. At the end of this, we could just have one more part to cover, and we're quickly gonna, well, see if we can actually treat each other, because the last time we tried this, just a shot in the fucking toenail would insta-kill a character in here, so it'll be fun to see if that actually works this time. But what we're going to talk about now, beforehand, is actions on casualty, which you can see up here. So, actions on casualty. When the squad receives a wounded, it enters what we call Tactical Combat Casualty Care, abbreviated to TCCC, or sometimes referred to as TCCC, Tactical Combat Casualty Care. And TCCC is the procedure of what needs to happen and the tactics available to either the fighting leader or the squad leader in order to achieve the things that need to happen. And when I say Tactical Combat Casualty Care, I'm not talking about the herder tactical da-da-da. I'm literally saying this is a tactic. Right? It is divided into 3 phases. We have phase 1, care under fire, phase 2, tactical field care, and phase 3, tactical evacuation care. And quick go through them one by one. So, we start out with phase 1, care under fire. Well, I'm going to divide this quickly into 2 parts, where we just talk about the team, what happens in phase 1 for the team, and then phase 1, what happens if you are the wounded. So, phase 1, care on the fighter, the team. Care on the fire, the team. As you know from civilian first aid, usually the first phase involves stopping the action. I just got hurt. Death strike. Was that you?
That was me, sorry. You should have.
Anchor.
He's been cutting people up.
I was
He's
trying to sort that.
weirdo.
I'll just continue until I fall flat on the
Oh
desk.
god, my head hurts.
I'm bleeding.
Death strike.
You got bandages. Sorry about that.
San Ava Beach. Okay, quickly, treat yourself. To get my bandages. Now we're gonna practice it. Go ahead.
Like put a tourniquet on your head. There, you're fine.
Worst instructor ever.
You're fine.
Didn't have time to check this one, unfortunately.
I guess Bohemia will never change the I'm fixing air animation. Or I'm striking my thigh animation.
Yeah.
Cool.
Every bandage is a morphine.
Is everyone treated? Is there anyone who has not been treated?
I'll pick him up if they pass out.
I'll take that. Silence is consent. Everyone is treated.
Or dead.
Cool. So, to return to what we were saying, phase 1, care on the fire, the team. So as you know from civilian first aid, the first thing is going to happen is you want to stop the accident. Now, when this happens in combat, what we want to...
Good
the
job.
team must either suppress the enemy to allow movement to a safe place with a casualty, or you destroy the enemy. So either suppress and disengage, or you kill the enemy. That's how you stop the accident in phase 1. The decision to either destroy the enemy or simply just suppress them and then move all the places is something that's up to the fire team leader or the squad leader, which will be covered in fire team leadership and squad leadership courses. Now, if it's your body that is hit, it is your responsibility, and I emphasize responsibility, to either alert the rest of the team by calling out, for example, Dave hit, or echoing his own call if he's saying Dave is hit. It is also your responsibility, if your body is unable to move, to drag or carry him to cover once the enemy is either suppressed or dead, because we do not want to move when they can still effectively fire back at us. You will only move to him and start treating, carrying, or dragging him anywhere until you're ordered to do so, because we need to continue the fight before we can treat the casualty. Radio? That is phase 1 for the team. Phase 1, if you are the wounded, if you are hit, you call out your name, emphasize name, and then hit. So again, for example, it would be JB hit if I get hit during mission. The reason for this is because it's an ever-changing team composition of different players between the missions that we play here in UO. No team is rarely the same 4 individuals, and this means that we will not always recognize each other by voice. Sometimes not even our body will recognize the voice of him. So, therefore, calling out your name if you are hit is absolutely idiot-proof. So don't go, I am hit. Who the fuck is I? No one knows this guy. JB's hit. Everyone fucking knows who JB is, and my body will immediately be alerted to me being hit and the responsibilities that he now has to carry out. Cool. So, if you're hit, immediately try to seek cover and begin treating yourself if you can. If the situation calls for it, you may only have time to apply, for example, tourniquet, as I talked about earlier, and then resume the fight. Now, this can happen if, for example, the enemy is assaulting you, or you're assaulting them, or the team needs to break contact immediately. In either case, we need you up and mobile, if you're able to actually move yourself, so you can quickly slap on the tourniquet, stop it from worsening, and then we can treat you later on once we're out of the contact or the enemy has been completely destroyed, because we need all the firepower we can get in order to get out of this shitty situation. Cool. Did anyone understand phase 1? Tactical, care under fire for the team and if you are the wounded. Yes. Did anyone not get it? Now's the fucking time to ask. Sweet. Moving on to phase 2. Tactical field care. Now, in order to begin phase 2, we have a rule of thumb that the casualty and the player treating the casualty must be in cover of flat trajectory weapons. What are these? These are
bullets.
Bullets, projectiles, exactly. Mortars, your fucking grenade launcher are all, as we said, indirect fire weapons. Now, most often, it is the body treating his own body, i.e. the body team treating each other. But the phase can also occur when, for example, in some units you might have a specific medic within the section called a combat lifesaver, or for example it might be the platoon medic that is going to treat a casualty of the squad behind the squad. I think it's either because the team hasn't been able to properly deal with the casualty because of, for example, medical supplies being limited or run short of, or they may not have the necessary items to completely treat the person. Or, for example, they simply only have time to drag him back and then their body have to resume the fight with his team or his squad. So, phase 2, in cover, most likely going to be a body treating, well, bodies treating each other, or it could be, for example, platoon medics treating the casualty while you yourself return to the fight. Alright? Phase 2 is where we stabilize the casualty and continue and do as much treatment as possible. Then we have phase 3, which is tactical evacuation care, and this is if the casualty cannot be fully treated or healed in the field, or the medic, for example, cannot come to you, then you may need to evacuate the casualty collection point, abbreviated into the CCP, casualty collection point. There, the casualty will be treated by the medic's presence, or if, for example, the logistics of the mission supports it, be evacuated further up the chain by either foot, vehicle, or aircraft to, for example, a field hospital. So, that is the 3 phases. Phase 1, care on the fire, win the firefight. Just remember this, phase 1, win the firefight. Phase 2, treat the casualty. Needs to be in cover. Phase 3, evacuate the casualty further up to either platoon medic or others if you're not able to fully treat him yourself. Rightio. And I need to say this and emphasize this. When you get onto the mission when you get on the server, when you start playing missions, if there is a casualty, do not cluster on the casualty. Bodies take care of their bodies. Don't start fucking around with everybody else. It's just one big rewarding target, and it's an absolute textbook example of how to kill a lot of people in a very small area. It's when they start clustering up on the same casualty, like 4 or 5 guys. Shit you not, I've seen 10 guys sitting kneeling, looking down upon the same fucking guy lying down on the ground while there's a firefight going on. It's not the way to do it. Bodies treat bodies. If they're not able to, they're going to be radioed further for the platoon medic, and in the end, evacuated further if needed be. Cool. What is phase 1? If I can quickly...
Win the fight.
Care under fire.
Get under fire. Win the firefight. How do we win the firefight?
Bomb.
Shoot them.
Shoot them.
Suppress or kill them family.
Suppress or kill the enemy.
18.
Phase 2.
Start.
Treat. Treat the casualty. Yes?
Yep.
What must the casualty and the player treating the casualty be in?
The buddy team.
Yeah? So revenge, is that something?
Cover.
Cover of...
Direct fire.
Boom.
Pew,
That
pew,
could actually
pew.
work. Yes. Direct fire weapons. Phase 3.
Apply
Casevac.
Hello Kitty bandage.
Something you move them somewhere.
Casevac.
Casevac. Evacuation. Evacuate the casualty for further treatment. Either to the, for example, the platoon
CCP.
CCP, which stands for someone else but revenge.
Casualty collection point.
Boom. You would usually find who in your platoon there?
Medics.
Platoon medic, exactly. If they cannot treat them, and the mission logistics supports it, what might then happen with the casualty from there on?
Casevac back to a
Casevac.
station.
Boom. Casevac stands for casualty evacuation. Sweet. Are there any questions to what we've just gone through with the combat medical system, or anything else in the course? No?
Sorry, I would just like to know more about the 148, but you said I can do that by looking up the ACA manual?
Yes, if you go onto the wiki, on the United Versions wiki, you can find it in there, more in depth of each function, what they do.
Awesome, that's perfect.
Cool. I'll just ask for you just to stay in channel for the time being.